Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With silver bells and cockle shells and pretty maids all in a row. My fellow Toastmasters, welcome to this evening. That nursery rhyme, theoretically, was attached to Mary Queen of Scots in 1542 to 1587. And how does your garden grow? Referring to her reign over her realm. Silver bells, referring to the Catholic bells. Cockle shells insinuated that her husband was not faithful to her. And pretty maids all in a row referred to the ladies in waiting. There is other theories, but for now, I think we need to progress and get some comments from our general evaluator, who this evening is Debbie.
Thank you, Toastmaster. As a general evaluator, I'll be looking at how well we conduct our meeting tonight, and we'll be asking for the evaluation team to also come forward, which first off is our grammarian, who will provide us with our word of the day that we're going to try and use throughout the day. Mr. Grammarian, please tell us more about this.
Gardens can grow big or small, depending on how big you want it. Other objects can grow big or small, like Christmas presents, inflatable science experiments. What can that mean at the end? However it grows is sizable. That is our word of the day. Sizable. The size of your height.
You want to come up so Julie can?
Sure. Our word of the day, Julie, in case you didn't hear it, is sizable. That is our word of the day. I can't hear her. She's muted.
Yep, she's there.
She's there. She's
The bottom one.
What's it again?
Sizable is our word of the day.
Sizable?
Sizable. Your height, garden grow in this case, scientific experience that may grow, whatever it may be. There's our word of the day. General evaluator.
Thank you. And also part of the evaluation team are our evaluators for the speeches that are going to be given. Julie will be evaluating Ann. Carl will be evaluating Andrea. But we have to take sizable consideration in what we are using for our time. And so our timer today is Gina, who will be measuring how well we stay within our time limits. And with that, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. A sizable meeting we are going to have. And our first speaker is Ann. Ann's presentation will inform new RESPEC employees of the services the personnel groups offered, and this is her second practice in front of Toastmasters. Welcome, Ann.
Okay, so hi everybody, my name is Ann Winkle,
and I lead the proposals group. The group includes 6 proposal coordinators, as you see on the screen there, a content manager, and a tech editor, and we're located across multiple time zones to support all offices. I'm located in Rapid City. So I do understand that we have a wide range of folks on the call today, and not everybody will directly participate in proposals. So I'm going to keep it high level. But I do think that by the time I'm done with this, you'll all see that how everybody in the company contributes to and also benefits from the data that we use in proposals. So let's go ahead and get started. Right. Okay, so what is it that we do? We develop responses to RFPs, that's requests for proposals. These are competitive bids that are selected based on qualifications, not cost. The RFP process is used heavily by public agencies and some private companies to contract our services, and it can involve rigorous requirements. So what our team does is we help you develop a compelling document while maintaining compliance, and our ultimate goal is to win work. So here's an example of an RFP. See back there? Here's an example of an RFP. I'm going to do one. This is an RFP from the city of Louisville, Colorado, and they were requesting bids to evaluate their system and prepare a stormwater master plan. Next. And this is an example of the response that we submitted. So this effort produced a 20-page marketing document, and it led to a win for our Denver office, and they're finishing up the plan this July. So this would be an example of a successful effort. Now I want to take a minute to just show that this is a more flashy document than just a typical scope and fee. So if what you've got is a scope and fee letter, you can work with the tech editing department to get that reviewed and formatted, and you don't have to use my group. Now, how are you going to get a hold of us? So you enter your proposal into Salesforce and check the proposal coordination support checkbox. And not everybody has a Salesforce license, so if you don't have one, you can have your manager enter it. And there's also a link on the employee portal for the proposal initiation form there. I also put my email address on this slide in case you guys have any questions. So this is a high-level overview of the proposal development process. Because the RFP requirements can sometimes be rigorous, the proposals team will help you from start to finish. So we are engaged from opportunity qualification through submission and internal filing. Now our tasks include planning, coordination, gathering content like project descriptions and resumes, and assisting with reviews. And we do quite a volume of proposals. So last year we did more than 300 proposals, and the turnaround time is typically about 3 to 4 weeks. And when we're doing such a high volume of proposals, it really is important that we maximize efficiency. So I'm just going to go over a few tools and processes that we manage, and we can go to the next slide. So our resume library is one such tool. We manage 2 types of resumes, and I'm going to start with the composite. The composite resume holds all of your project history and serves as a database of you. If Mark Hammerschmidt hasn't already, he'll help you complete your first composite resume and help you load it to Respect Connect. Now I did notice that Crystal, Mario, and Dustin has already completed their composite resumes, so thank you for that. And if you haven't completed it yet and need a refresher, there's a link on the employee portal for that too. Now, as time goes on and you complete projects at Respect, you'll add them to your composite resume through Respect Connect. I'm going to give you more information on that on the next slide. And that leads me to the second type of resumes. So the second one is the proposal resume. Now, for each proposal effort, we're going to tailor the composite resume. And that's why getting your contents into your composite now will help you when tailoring it later for a proposal. While your composite resume is not page limited, proposal resumes are typically only 1 or 2 pages. And I do think that you'll find during the development process, which can be pretty fast-paced, removing existing projects is a lot quicker than having to add them. And one last thing, because each proposal resume is tailored to the pursuit, those are going to get stored in the proposals folder on Teams instead of in Respect Connect. Next slide. And I just want to go over a couple of tools. You just might find them interesting. So I mentioned on the previous slide that we have a tool called Respect Connect. That's an internally developed program to house staff information. And it stores your composite resume as well as your licenses and your education. Now, having your info in the system allows my team and others to browse your skills and your documentation. My team will use it for proposals, but others around the company also use it to find resources for their projects. So having your content in the system provides visibility for you. We do ask that you get your profile set up within 4 weeks of hiring, including your composite resume. And if you haven't explored it yet, I would encourage you to get in there and take a look at it because there's other information in there too. Next. And finally, Open Asset. So it's a tool that stores project descriptions, project photos, and headshots. And when information is collected during a proposal effort, our team will store things down in there for future use. Now, because of licensing costs, it's only available to the marketing staff. So if you ever need a project description, all you have to do is reach out to us and we'll pull it out for you. And we also ask that if you get some new project info, such as project photos or client accolades, just let us know and we'll add it. We have found that the more information that's added to the database, the better it is for use. So we do have other tools, but that's all I'm going to discuss today. I do hope that I pique your interest and that you'll reach out if you want to learn more about the tools and resources that we support. Thank you for your time, Madam Mr. Toastmaster.
Is the religious theory. And that is through Catholicism. Mary being the mother of Jesus. And the bells represent Sanctus bells. The cockleshells, the badges of the pilgrims. And the shrine of St. James in Santiago. And pretty maids are nuns. But even within this strand thought, there is differences of opinion. Our next speaker will be Andrea Barton. And she is giving a 5 to 7 minute speech titled, How to Talk to Toddlers. How to Talk to Toddlers, Andrea Barton.
My fellow Toastmasters, how often have you spoken with a toddler? Do you get down to their level and start cooing at them? Going, oh, you're so cute. Or do you try to communicate with them using words, sign language? My husband and I have decided that words and sign language was probably the best course of action. Because if my child cannot use words, they can give me a sign rather than scream at me all the time. We started with the words more and food. Now, my 2-year-old is currently using 4 words. More food, please. And he'll do bye-bye. He has more in his repertoire, but the more he's got, it gives a sizable contribution to his communication skills, for sure. He even likes to mix it up. Please, more food. Food, more, please. He tries. We're working more now on the word sorry. Now, how do you go and get a child to apologize or even understand what an apology is? This has been my hardest to date word to get across his mind. He'll chuck a toy or he'll scream. And of course, as parents, we scream back. So how do you get a child to communicate, I'm sorry? Sometimes you have to get down to their level, get a hold of them, have them look at you and be like, I'm sorry. To which they understand a little bit of, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. My 2-year-old has figured out if he calms down, sorry. He has a little bit of an attitude. What child doesn't? Like, no, sorry. He gets his babby bag, or in this case, babby is his pacifier. And then he gets a little bit more genuine. Sorry. He gets sweet about it. Okay. To which I can stand back up and the world is back in order. Communication with a toddler is very difficult, for sure. Because when they come into this world, they don't know. Which, I need this. I need food. I need water. They communicate to us via screams, coos, sometimes grunts, especially when the diaper needs to be changed. But if we are patient as parents and as people around toddlers, we can show that, yes, even my 1-year-old can communicate. To which my little 1-year-old has picked up every sign almost from my 2-year-old. He doesn't know what they mean just yet. But I'm pretty sure that he gets the idea that if he uses them, he gets what he wants. He's figured out if he copies brother this, which is food, he gets food. We're still working on sippy cup. Sign language is a beautiful thing when paired with words. Because when a child cannot use their words, they can then use the sign to communicate with the parents in another way. It helps them. Less screaming for the parents, maybe for those around you, and also helps the toddler feel at ease and more connected with the parents. This is why I'm stating words with sign language is probably the best thing to learn to help your kids. Toastmaster.
Now we have a change in program. Why a garden, you may ask? How about enjoying the vegetables and fruits that you've eaten? Have you ever tasted a strawberry in the sun, right off the vine? Can't get much better. My wife has a little garden. It's 30 by 15. Well, we sit on an acre, so what the heck. And we have gone from ground level to raised garden beds. Well, she's not as young as she was when we started, some 30 years ago. And that is a sizable project in the spring for Mr. Michael, because he has to make sure that everything is ready. It is very daunting. It is very large. And when you get those strawberries or raspberries off the branches and you eat them right there, you can't beat it. Now we need to move ahead, move on to our reader joke master, who is Gina Lemon.
Well, for tonight's Reader Joke Master, I heard a poem at church one day, and the poem just really struck me. It really made me think about how when I ruminate on mistakes I make, how they can grow from something very small to something very sizable. So the name of the poem is The Tear and the Shade, and it was written by Jessica Powers. It's told from the point of view of a cleaning woman. I tore the new bay window shade with slightly more than a half-inch tear. I knew the lady would be shocked to see what I had done with such finality. I went outside to lose my worry there. Later, when I came back to the room, it seemed that nothing but the tear was there. There had been furniture, rugs, and pictures, and on the table, flowers and purple bloom. It was amazing how they dwindled, and how the tear grew till it filled the room. The Tear in the Shade by Jessica Powers. Mr. Toastmaster.
My wife's garden is not just in the backyard. She's got flowers planted out front in several different beds, which they all need compost or topsoil. And I get the honor and privilege of shoveling. Okay. Next is my favorite part of Toastmasters. It is table topics. Help me welcome Debbie Barton, the table topics master. Yay. Thank you.
We have done numbers, letters, topic, and my table topics tonight to help us grow in a sizable way in our ability to speak in a manner that is different. When you choose a letter, I'm going to ask you to choose. How many of you played Truth or Dare? Yeah. This is quote or question. Julie, would you like to be the first one to try a quote or question?
Sure.
You get to choose A, B, C, D, E, or F.
C.
Cool. The quote is by Doug Larson. You can choose a quote or a question. And the other one is the question. Which do you want to do? A quote or a question?
Question.
Chicken. Can you think and share about something that did not fit your goal or expectation? And how did you grow from that? Can you think and share about something that did not fit your goal or expectation? And how did you grow from that?
Thank you, Madam Master. How did I grow from that? That is a very difficult one. I think when we set out to have goals, a lot of times they don't quite turn out the way we expect. I can't really think of one right off the bat. But I think we always have this idea of this is the way it's going to be. And there's always little things that come in the way that help you grow even more, even though it wasn't the way you had originally planned. So I think we can have goals, but we need to be open to how we get to the end of that goal. Because I think the journey is probably far more important than the actual end goal. I'm not sure if that answered that question, but that's the way I think about it. Table topics master.
Thank you, Julie. Evan, quote or question?
Quote.
Okay. A, B, D, E, or F?
A.
A. This is a quote from Sigmund Freud.
I don't know what Sigmund Freud, I'm sorry.
Flowers are restful to look at. They have neither emotions nor conflicts. Please address that.
And then let you know, Sigmund Freud was also
I know that.
Let's welcome Evan up here.
Sorry, can you read the quote just one more time?
Sure. Flowers are restful to look at. They have neither emotions nor conflicts.
Flowers are worthless to look at. They have neither emotions nor conflicts. That's a tough one. But
Do whatever you want to. That's fine.
What?
Flowers. I like flowers. Flowers are fun. I like the colors: red, orange, yellow, any flower whatsoever. In this case, I will say they have no emotions. No emotions. Rest up well, because the sun helps, or also water also helps them grow too. I gotta say though, they're very sizable too. Very sizable in some ways. Can grow very well, and they can give people good emotions too. Very, very good emotions. See a flower, if you're sad, it can make you happy. Makes little kids happy. Maybe you like playing with flowers when you were little? You like playing with flowers? I did too. I remember one time when I was living in California, I would pick some flowers from my old grandmother's house, and I would plant gardens a lot. That's all I can think of. Thank you.
You did quite well. I must have chosen a sizable difference in how I'm doing table topics. I'm working for 10. Anne, would you like to try a table topic tonight, a quote or a question?
I'll do a quote, please.
A B, D, E, or F? This is the one by Monty Don. A garden is not a place, it's a journey. A garden is not a place, it's a journey. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you. You know, I know what she means by a garden is not a place, it's a journey, because I did do a garden once. When I bought my house, I had some room in the backyard and there was actually a garden already there. And so I thought all I have to do was plant some seeds. Oh, I'm pretty sure I didn't plant seeds. I'm pretty sure I planted small plants. But what I didn't realize is when you go to the store, they sell their plants in these like 4-packs, 6-packs. There's multiples in every one. And so I got multiples of the multiples. And I planted them all. I had a lot of space. And I didn't realize how much work it is to just have one plant, let alone probably 10 different varieties, and then, you know, way too much of each one. So I would say that it was quite the journey, just in like how much work it is in order to produce. And unfortunately, the end of that journey was for me to not do it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Carl, would you like to try a quote or a question?
Let's go with the quote.
B, D, or E?
E.
E. This is by Henry Mitchell. Gardening is full of mistakes, almost all of them pleasant, and some of them actually instructive. Gardening is full of mistakes, almost all of them pleasant, and some of them actually instructive. Carl.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. If you know gardeners, beware. You know that there are times that, especially when you get towards late summer, and one of the biggest mistakes that people plant is not just 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 to 7 plants of zucchini.
Yes.
Yes, you all know what is coming. You all know the warning to keep your windows closed on your car and your doors locked. Now, that doesn't mean you might have a brown paper bag on your porch the next day, because they are looking for ways to get rid of their overindulgence of zucchinis. 1 plant of zucchini is sizable. 7 is oversized. So make sure that when you're doing that, you plant things that you will use, but cut out the zucchini, make some brownies, you'll do well. Madam Topics Master. Gardening may be a daunting, sizable problem to begin with. However, it is very rewarding. What you have to do is pick the things you like. Zucchini doesn't grow in my garden, in Rita's garden. Rhubarb grows in Rita's garden. Raspberries grow in Rita's garden. Potatoes grow in Rita's garden. Onions grow in Rita's garden. And beets grow in Rita's garden. Yeah, maybe it's not just Rita's garden. Maybe it's Michael's garden too. And now, help me welcome General Evaluator for the evening,
I,
Debbie Barton.
and at this time, I'm gonna ask our first evaluator to come forward, or in this case, to present online. Julie Baker will be evaluating Ann Winkle's presentation. Julie,
Ann, would you like to come up so Julie can?
actually talk to you.
Want to or have to?
Yes,
It's good for the event.
to actually look into
Very
the,
good. Glenn, you did excellent.
Thank you.
I could tell from the last time you gave the speech to this time, you are much calmer. You exuded self-confidence. I was really, really impressed. So I can tell that you have been practicing. So very, very good. And I know that this presentation is done online. So doing it in front of a live audience is definitely something that's out of your wheelhouse. You did great. I'm really proud of you. The information that you had this time, it made way more sense to me. So I think especially for your audience that you're going to be presenting this to, they will definitely understand what it is you're talking about. So again, these are great slides. One of the things I looked at, because I did look at you sent me the link, and I looked at your presentation. I did not see any of the rocking. Again, I think that is also part of just being confident in what you're doing. So this is definitely helping. From what I could tell, you were engaging your audience and you were looking around. I know that it's a little difficult to move around because you're using slides, but when you're not using slides, you might want to, move in the space that you are allowed up there. Vocal variety, it's a little more difficult when you have the presentation that you have, but I think that was something that from what I could hear, you did have reflections and things like that. So again, this all comes back to the fact that I think you have really been practicing this, and it really shows. So great job, Ann.
Oh, thank you.
thank you. Our next evaluation is for Andreas and Carl. Would you come forward to evaluate Andreas? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Master Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and Andrea. Andrea, you are becoming more comfortable. You were always comfortable up here when you were standing here, but that comfort may have been a little bit of nervousness in the beginning. That is beginning to go away. You're speaking. What I heard is you've got a good voice, a good pace, and the pauses that are in there. Your organization was good, and I liked the use of humor. One of the things I would recommend is your opening. You got up here and you said, "My fellow Toastmasters." Put that back a little bit. Hit us with something, because when you got into your opening a little bit, you talked about humor and you talked about the challenge of communicating with kids. So that was good. One thing I would recommend that I heard is you talked about a lot, but I would have liked to personally hear a little bit more. You mentioned briefly that you and your husband had kind of chosen this method. But talk a little bit more, give us a little bit more of the background of why you chose that. I think it would make more effective. I know personally you've got a background with ASL, with American Sign Language. A couple of those things in there may have made it more appropriate for the audience of why you chose to talk to your kids that way. Your gestures were wonderful. I like the fact that you got down on your knees. If you look at a lot of the world champions, they do a lot on the stage, and that was a good act. But I would also like to see you use a little bit of the side to side on that stage presence too, especially with this when you're talking about that. But your gestures and everything were very good. So work on that speaking order. You were well organized. Give us just a little bit more. I think that will really help it to broaden out that speech a little bit. Otherwise, nice job. Madam Master Evaluator.
Thank you, Carl. Really appreciate that. I'll add a bunch of things afterwards, but at this time, I would like to call upon Gina for our timer report to see how well we stayed on time. Did we make a sizable difference and doing it on time? Thank you, Gina.
Well, my time report isn't very sizable tonight, and your speech was just a little bit over. It was 7 minutes, 20 seconds. Andrea, you were right in the middle, 5 minutes, 57 seconds. Julie, I have to apologize. I was so busy listening to your evaluation, I forgot to hit start. But once I remembered, it was 1:08, so I'm sure you got to the 2 minutes. Carl, yours was 2 minutes, 37 seconds. And all of our table topics were at a minute or more. Julie, you got a minute. Evan, 1:17. And 1:02. Carl, you were 1:18. So, Madam General Evaluator, that was my time report.
Thank you, you did a sizable job. Thank you, Gina. We also had the chance to find out how well we were using the word of the day and how well we were not using filler words. Some of us use them more frequently than others. Evan?
Speaker two will actually admit that she actually used some fillers.
You did have a keynote, Mary.
Thank you.
I'm not addicted to nothing.
Yeah, okay.
Now, good job, everyone. It was a great meeting. Michael, you had one you had a bunch of ands. Debbie, you were clean. Gina, you had one so, and you had a bunch of so's, one like and a but. Andrea, you were clean. Swear that you were clean.
Yeah, I forgot.
You know,
I do know that I used the word of the day.
Yes, you
We haven't got to that yet.
You know. I had one so. Carl, you had a couple buts. Julie, you had a couple so's and one but. Word of the day, Michael used it 4 times.
Ooh, cool.
Debbie, same, used it 4 times. Andrea used it once. Carl used it once. Gina used it once. And I didn't hear it. Twice. Excuse me, twice. I used it once. Julie, I didn't hear you say it twice. General Evaluator.
Thank you. Well, as the fill-in general evaluator, Michael, this was an interesting topic to try and find table topics for one thing. And I really enjoyed the thought of growing. That could be going so many ways. So thank you for that theme. It was very, very well thought of. Overall, the speeches were good. I do have one comment for Anne. As one that practices having to do Zoom meetings for my synchrony speakers, if you're going to have notes, cheat. Put it next to the camera and it doesn't look like you're reading down to the notes. That'll really help you on your Zoom meeting. But other than that, yes, you do have osms and does, but that's partially nerves. It was very good. And Andrea, thank you. I'm still learning sign language. I'm not as good as she is. I do know that we had a really good meeting. We did use the word. We didn't have as many people here as we normally do. I guess they're out there planting the garden for Michael, maybe? Although, I have, yeah. Get a hold of him, he will gladly put you on there. I do know that northeastern Aberdeen is in a blizzard and raining at the same time, and the trucks are going off the road. With that, I don't have anything else as far as general evaluation, except it was good speeches. I will tell you that for those of you who did quotes, congratulations, that took a lot of guts and willpower. But at the same token, the questions I had with them would have been just as nasty. And Julie, just to let you know, the quote you didn't choose, you would have loved it. It's by Doug Larson. A weed is a plant that has mastered every skill except for learning to grow in rows. So I just thought you'd like to know what quote you avoided. You're welcome. With that, I guess I'm supposed to turn it over to the president.